Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of On the Other Line Canada. Looks like we got a room full of people right off the bat, and there's another saying I say every week that we're going to turn into a drinking game. Scott, you're first. You're top of the list. Hope you're having a good week. Barb, great to see you. Hope you're feeling better. I know you've had a rough couple weeks, your family and yourself. Mr. Bill Allen, for anyone that hasn't been seeing what Bill has been up to, you should probably go check it out. The guy's a tournament master. And speaking of tournaments, I think we've got one to talk about today that's going to be just as exciting, an opportunity for people to compete for charity. We have a lot of applications. We're going to save it for the end of the show when we get Mitch on here. Barb, good to hear you guys are improving. I like that. Joel, hello. Mr. Lazy R Streamers. Bill, I will say this before I bring our co-host in this week. The fact that your wife allowed you to go fish for sturgeon, she's a very understanding and patient woman. I think we all need one of those by our side for some of the stuff we put them through. So happy to see you're on the winning end of things, I guess we could call it. The sturgeon you caught, tank. Love it. We love seeing your stuff there, Bill. So, well, this week's co-host, hey Greg, as we mentioned last night, for many of us, this is a hobby. And what that means is it doesn't matter what's going on with your hobby, you still have to work to pay for the fishing gear. So this week's guest is traveling on the road. I'll bring him in, Mr. Jason Huntley. Jason, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I mean, I have to ask, how upset do you get when work interferes with your fishing lifestyle?
It's funny, sometimes work helps my fishing lifestyle because my work actually allows me to take the fishing rod and gear with me to all the places that I have to travel for work. And then I get to fish on my free time.
I think that's something that a few of us get to enjoy, not all of us. And I know the rest will be envious of that ability to be able to do that. I'm not going to lie. I spend a little bit of time on the river during the day, so I know exactly how you feel. Did you know that today is National Everything You Do Is Right Day?
Perfect. Then everything I did today was right.
When I found out it was National Everything You Do Is Right Day, I realized it didn't matter what I did today. It was right. So, Marcy, if you're watching, don't forget, everything I did today was right. We can disagree about this later. And I know there's probably a few of us that feel that we did everything right today. So I'll take it. It only happens once a year, right?
They have a day for everything nowadays.
They most certainly do. Well, Jason, we like to ask all of our co-hosts at the beginning of every show, in our intro video, we see that you spend a lot of time fishing with your daughter. When we jump on your YouTube channel, it's really about family for you. Where did you learn and get your passion for fishing in the outdoors?
Well, it's kind of funny because my parents weren't really into fishing. So the way I really started was back in the day when I was quite young. We used to do horseback riding in the mountains. So then we'd always come across these beaver dams that were full of trout. Way back, nobody else got to them. So I would take one of those pocket fishing buddies, the old flip out rod, and bring that with me on horseback, and wherever we stopped for lunch or whatever, it usually was by water, and then I'd fish. Sometimes I'd catch something, sometimes I wouldn't, but it was always great fun.
Yep. I think that's
sorry.
Keep going. I know you have a bit of a delay. You keep going.
Yeah, that started it, and then I continued on, and I kind of, as life changes, I moved away from it and then moved back, and now I'm going pretty strong again and enjoying the stress relief that fishing can bring to me.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because I think that's something everyone kind of touches on, that you know, everyone has their own sort of coping mechanism. For many of it's fishing. For people like Mitch and Adam, I don't know if they're on here. I know that they take up crocheting and knitting. I don't know if you knew that or not, but Mitch knits his own sweaters.
Nice.
So we'll address that with him a little bit later. I have to ask because I see it. All I see is a day without fishing. It says on your shirt. What does the rest of that shirt say?
Oh, a day without fishing won't kill you. Or, yeah, a day without fishing won't kill you, but why risk it?
That's very true. Which we'll talk about ice safety tips later, which almost ties into that shirt a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about your ice fishing season, I know we talked about a little bit last night. Would you consider your ice fishing season has been memorable or forgettable?
None of my fishing is forgettable. I I have like a great memory for all my trips, and this year wasn't overly great, but one trip out with my daughter and some other friends, my daughter landed her new PB walleye, so that's always great when that happens. I love seeing her catch new, bigger fish. She's quite the amazing angler when she works at it. Sometimes she needs a little poking and prodding, but she's a teenager, and you know how that goes. So, but it's definitely a lot of fun. I love all my trips with my daughter. We get to share this experience quite often, and it means a lot to me, and I hope it does to her as well. And she's a big part of the Huntley experience.
Right, which is awesome. I mean, to see the experience that you and your daughter have and the passion you share for fishing. I know I usually ask most people this, you know, in the 5 questions with, but who does it better?
Well, if you ask her, she'll say her for most definitely. Um, I think we kind of, with her luck and my skill, we're almost matched. she's got a big horseshoe hidden someplace because that girl, I tell you, she has a knack for catching. It's always like at the last fish of the day, something she pulls some kind of amazing catch out. It's crazy.
I mean, I know there's a lot of ego involved in fishing, and I don't know your thought on this. I know she's watching, and don't worry, I'm not doing this to score points. But there's something about when I fish with Marcy, same thing. She always seems to be able to just pull off the win. I mean, I will give her some credit for talent. I'll maybe also take some credit for giving tips. Although she has told me that she catches less fish using my tips. So, I mean, does your daughter school you, or is it just kind of, you know, is it in the blood?
I think it's in the blood. I'd like to take credit for everything she does, but I can't. Some of it she seems pretty natural at, so it's not all me. But I still tell her that I take credit for everything she does.
Yep, pure natural talent, man. I mean, you can't change that. It's probably another fishing legend in the making, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully she sticks with it, but you know, kids sometimes they stop. But I'm hoping if she does, she'll come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, all you can really do is instill some praise in the whole fact of, you know, how important fishing has been for you, and hope they carry it on. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I think for many of us that were raised on it, if we ever did fall out of love with it at some point, we always came back to it, which I think is pretty awesome. So who knows? Like I say, she might have her own TV show out there, or just show the old man how it's done going forward.
Maybe. If anything, it's great memories that we can share forever.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. We talked a little bit last night about sort of the direction of the show tonight, and I like it because, you know, most people are just sitting at home going, okay, what's Jason going to pick for a lake, and what's he going to pick for a favorite species, and what's he going to pick for his favorite hook and rod and reel setup. We talked about this a little bit last night, and I really love the direction we're going to go this week. I know Mitch is going to like it when we bring him in because I see him watching. He's kind of staring at the walls, tossing and turning his head. I don't even know if he knows this is coming. But, something, and we've talked about this before with Bryce. You mentioned last night that you don't really have, you have bodies of water you enjoy fishing, but you have always found that sometimes you will sort of figure out where you're going based on the forecast. I'm interested to know where that comes from, or where you've come up with that frame of mind.
So one of the things is I love catching big fish just like anybody else, but I've also learned to pay attention to the weather. And also I like to be comfortable sometimes when I'm fishing, right? So the size of the fish doesn't always determine where I'm going to go. First thing I always look at is where the best weather is. Is it, northeast, southwest of me? That's the direction I'm going to generally try to head. And then from there, I'll look at the bodies of water and decide. So weather, wind direction, usually like the wind coming out of the south if there's going to be wind, stuff like that.
Right. It's so funny you mentioned this because I have never really looked at it that way. I think I've always just kind of envisioned, okay, this is where we're going fishing. Let's see what happens. And I think maybe I need to change how I look at going fishing now because, it sounds so simple and so easy that people would look at it that way. But it's kind of interesting to think that maybe not everybody does think of it that way, or maybe I'm just the weird one. I only think about the body of water. But I'd be interested to hear if anyone else does that, or maybe I'm just on my own. But I really like that approach. And I think the number one reason for that is that it's that comfort factor, like you just said, right? Nobody wants to go sit in the rain all day and not have a fun experience of going out fishing or, dealing with cold weather and snow, right?
Right. And certain times of the year, no matter the weather, I'll go to a certain spot, right? Because certain times of the year are better for certain fish. So when that's the case, of course, I have my favorite place to go. That's where I'll go no matter what the weather's doing, if that's what I want to do.
Right.
And then I also like the fact that if I do it by the weather and all that, I'm not always fishing the same body of water. And I really like getting onto new bodies of water. And just, if I come across something I haven't fished, I really enjoy getting out there and trying to see if I can make something work.
Yeah, actually, that's a very valid point. I think maybe it's a sign that as I get older, I'm just becoming more stubborn, which doesn't seem right. I'm not really a stubborn person. No comments required. But I think that's going to change how I kind of fish this year. Maybe I'm going to try your method. I've seen how many fish you catch. Maybe that's what I need. Like Mitch tells me to change my hats. Maybe I just need to change my direction and where I'm targeting and base it a little bit more on Mother Nature. Are you using any specific apps or what do you find works best for you to be able to determine that?
So one app that I use is called Windy. It's really good for forecasting ahead for wind direction and speed of the wind, how hard it's going to be. I also use the Weather Network. That one works out pretty good too. And the most things that I'm looking at is what kind of cloud cover we're going to have and what the wind's doing.
Mm-hmm. It's actually interesting to hear because, other than the Weather Network, most of the stuff you're using, I don't use. If I am looking at weather at all, I usually use the Global News Sky Tracker, which I found is very accurate. But it's pretty neat to hear, how everyone has kind of their own systems of what they use to figure that out. Bill Allen and both Greg are actually agreeing on the whole wind factor. And I think for any of us in Alberta, wind is a huge part of how well the experience plays out for us, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't want to be sitting in 30-kilometer-an-hour winds trying to cast and everything else, or in the ice trying to chase my shelter across the lake. I don't need a video coming out like that.
So what you're telling me is you don't fish Kananaskis.
No, actually, I have not fished Kananaskis.
Well, I mean, if you're not into wind, you will probably never want to fish Kananaskis because that's the kind of place where tents go missing.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And we have a question here. What your thought is of is fishing in the rain better?
I like fishing in the rain. Yes. I don't know if it's generally better. I find usually right before any storm or right after are the best parts. But if it's raining, I'll fish before it starts and go all the way through.
So long as there's not lightning, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Except for if it's lightning, then forget it. It's not worth it.
Which, depending on the scenario, we can or cannot see that coming, I guess, which can really sort of depend. Unless you're like Bryce or anyone that lives in the Newell area, then you just kick back, relax, don't worry about fishing, and watch all the lightning and tornadoes and thunderstorms roll in, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even when I'm on a body of water, I'll check the weather quite often, just because in Alberta the weather changes, instantly sometimes. Yeah. So it's always good to keep an eye, especially if you're on a bigger body of water like Newell or anything like that. You gotta keep an eye on what's coming at you.
And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I'm sure almost anyone that's on social media has seen, kind of the vehicle that went through there the other day, and I can't even imagine what that experience is like. But we'll talk about that soon enough. And wind plays a factor in that as well, right? That's a nasty body of water.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be breaking that lake up with the wind coming for sure.
Yeah. Well, something else you brought up last night, and I am guilty of this. And you brought up about how it's all about the attitude. And the reason I like this is because I have probably the worst attitude of any of my fishing friends, especially when they're out fishing me. Now, you and I have chatted back and forth quite a bit. We have our fair share of bad days. What do you find about your attitude with it changing like the hats that you've really kind of keyed in on what makes the experience for you?
So like I said, fishing for me is a great stress relief. So when I go fishing, if I'm stressed out or whatever, if I take that for the day on the water, I have learned that it affects my fishing. Now, whether it's just the way it changes small things in what I do, I don't know. But I know that if I get there and I sit there and say, okay, it's going to be a good day, I'm going to get things done, forget about everything else. It doesn't matter. I'm on the water now, and it starts from scratch. Let's go. My days are better. Always. 100%. I think there is a bit of that mentality in there that if you're stressed or you have a lot of time to think when you're on the water. And if you put yourself in the mindset where you're still stressing over stuff or worried about what's going on at work and stuff like that, you're not putting it all into what you're doing on the water. And that could really affect your day of catching or not catching.
So talking about attitude, I mean, I have to ask this question. Do you find that your attitude gets really dark as the seasons change? What I mean by that is open water is winding down. Ice season's about to come in. Do you find your attitude changes more then, or are you more about counting down for ice fishing season to end so you can get onto the open water?
Yeah, I'm more about counting down. So my attitude does change a bit at the end of the season because it's been a long season and I'm kind of done with the ice. So it's definitely brings me into looking forward to open water. You know, that first day I get out on open water, I'm gonna be grinning like crazy. I'll be happy
Like this guy.
you know, and it's gonna be a fantastic day. I already know right now. I know for a fact. So it does. My mood does change kind of, and I try really hard to not let it. But yeah, as you know, things get dragged out and stuff like that. We fish a lot, so we're on the water a lot.
Right.
And it's amazing that my kid puts up with me as much as she does. Always wanting to go.
I think for any of us that are addicted to fishing, we have an appreciation for the people in our lives that put up with us. And not only that, how much does it upset you when someone like myself sends you a picture of fishing open water when you're stuck driving to work?
That picture. Oh, the back of my head goes, that lucky bugger.
I didn't want to bring it up last night, but your attitude seemed a little bit off, and I think I just figured out why. I mean, I hit open water yesterday, and I don't think I've been so excited to hit open water because for me, my ice fishing season's done. It's over. Next year's a whole new year, or this year. But yeah, I mean, not only that, you get out in the sun and just enjoy that open water feeling, right? The fresh air, as we call it.
Yeah, like I've got one more trip and my ice season's done too. Then it's all about prep for open water.
Right. Are you going to take your water wings with you, or?
No, I don't think I'll need them. I think I'm still good. I hope anyway.
Well, I know a lot of bodies of water. I mean, there's still a lot of ice. I talked to Jared from Adventure Ice Fishing. They're still trying to go as strong as possible. I mean, obviously, most of these bodies of water have a ton of ice on them. It's just that perimeter edge, right? Traffic obviously plays a huge part of that. How much do you risk driving on the ice?
Like I said, at this time of year, I'm back to walking.
Yeah.
I don't trust the edges, and I never trust, just because I see tracks on it, that means nothing to me. I will not trust that. If I don't confirm that it's good, I'm not going.
Yeah, there's been a few bodies of water I've been to where I'm not going to lie, it's very tempting to drive on. And a few bodies of water where voices in the back of my head go, this is not a smart idea. I guess it's just a risk you have to be willing to take or not take. At the end of the day, it is all about that safety factor, right?
Yeah, I've never taken a swim, and I'm not going to start now. So sometimes it sucks because where you want to get can be.
We lost you in a dip, Jason. You promised me you'd never hit another dip. And you know what? That's why we bring this guy in.
Oh.
Hey there, you old so-and-so.
From where you get gone.
I think Jason is slowly kind of coming back in here. So let's do this for a second. Let's remove him, and we'll bring him back in when he gives me a wave. I know he's just going through a dip. Mitch, what's your attitude like?
My attitude right now? Or on the weekend?
Or on the weekend. Jason, we got you back?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's okay, man. I mean, like I say, work comes first, right? And I was just about to talk to Mitch about not just his attitude, but the new rumor that you started about him, Jason. I don't know if you've met Mitch or not, but starting rumors isn't really the way to start off a relationship. And I think you're making a comment about how you heard Mitch knit sweaters. Is that right? Comment?
He's in a dip.
He's in a dip. He bailed out.
Maybe he just ran because he was scared about the comments.
That could very well be. I don't know. Are you? Let's try this again. I think he's back. Now, he may have just bailed out over the new drama unfolding about the rumors that he's spreading.
Yeah, no.
No, he's back. Jason?
Sorry, I missed the rumor. I don't know what the rumor is.
We were just talking about the rumor you started about Mitch, about how he likes to knit sweaters.
Yeah. No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. That's a no comment situation. Mitch, I know you and I have fished together a few times. How do you feel attitude affects your experience in outings? Do you ever get down on yourself or beat yourself up internally?
Oh yeah. There's a fair bit of times that I get pretty hard on myself. Sometimes you need pictures for sponsors and stuff, and puts a lot of pressure on yourself just to make the quota or whatever. And sometimes it takes you just work that hard, and when the bite's not working, it's hard to go.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, do you have any superstitions? Now that Mitch and I are talking about it, I need to ask you, do you have any superstitions when it comes to fishing? We lost him again.
He's in the dip.
He's in the dip.
Yeah, I got another one too. I just remembered. My bibs, I only wash them once a year. As soon as ice season's done, then they stay dirty all year.
You know, I wondered what that smell was at Cold Lake. I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, it's probably them.
That's probably what it is. Jason, we got you back now, all right?
Sorry. Yeah. Superstitions. I don't really buy into superstitions, so I don't necessarily have any. I think I'd even take a banana on a boat.
It's funny. I was just going to bring up, would you bring bananas on the boat? Mitch was just saying, I don't know if you caught it, his superstition is he only washes his bibs once a year.
I might be guilty of that too.
I think we've all been there. That actually, thanks for the reminder. I do need to wash my bibs. So
I think mine are standing up in the corner on their own now.
Just rock solid.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Mitch brought up that, you know, I thought was a cool idea for a lot of kind of our shows going forward, and it was just a good fit having you on the show, Jason, was talking about, you know, there's so much technology and stuff on when it comes to fishing that people want to check out and try. I'm a little bit jealous of you because you decided to rub it in my face about how you went to a live scope this year. And I'm interested to know what your experience with that has been, because a lot of people do wonder.
I really like it. There's been times on live scope where I can tell what's actually moving in because it's that good. It can be that clear. I can tell if it's a pike or if it's a walleye. You can almost make out the fins to be able to tell. So it's really cool to have that kind of technology, to sit there and have it live. There's times now where I won't use a camera, and I love my camera, but this thing is great. And the main reason why I got it was because I kind of had an idea that fishing this year was going to be pretty busy this ice season. There's going to be a lot of people out there. I think Alberta sold something like 40,000 extra fishing licenses compared to past years. So that's a lot of pressure on lakes. So I thought, if I'm going to start searching out new places, different bodies of water and all that, what better way than having something where you can look 100 feet or so out in every direction and see what's going on. Structure, where the fish are, everything. It's great.
And I'm interested to know, because I know I've seen Scott Stewart use it. How does it affect how you pack? Because my memory of the live scope setup, it is a lot of extra gear to pack, right? For ice season,
yeah.
anyways.
So I started out with kind of making my own way of carrying it around, and then I went to, I think it's a Summit Fishing live scope shuttle, and that's pretty good setup. It's got its own bag, so all you're basically carrying around is that bag and your extension into the water, your handle. So it makes it 2 pieces. But that being said, the live scope isn't light, so it does add extra weight, especially when you're trying to pack light, early ice, stuff like that.
Yeah. Mitch, are you getting a live scope this year, buddy?
Well, no. That's out of the budget, I think, for this year. I've used them. They're pretty sweet.
The cost is huge. Jason, your honest opinion, do you find that it's actually increased your ability to be able to really target a species and focus in on catching them? Like you mentioned that with all the increased pressure, which we've talked about before, do you find that it's helped kind of step up your game a little bit and being able to get out there and start landing some fish?
I would say yes. It definitely has put me into a couple of new spots that would have been, I don't know, I might have fished them without it anyway, but with it, I know exactly what's there, and it's what I expected. So, yeah, it's nice to have that confirmation, but it is a big pill to swallow for cost.
It is, yeah, absolutely. I run a Garmin 75 SV just for me to be able to upgrade to that live scope option is like almost $2,000. I shouldn't have actually said that because now Marcy will know when I buy one this fall what it's actually worth. We'll deal with that. No, Bill, actually, I know Bill has on here. Jason, do you mind if I ask kind of Bill saying like $5,000? We can get into a live scope for kind of cheaper than that, right?
Yeah, you can. But the deal that I got mine on, so it came not as the bundle. So I ended up buying the Garmin, I forget what it is, 95 SV, something like that, the head unit, and the transducer for the boat for open water. I bought that as a kit. Then I bought the Garmin Live Scope on top of that. And with the sales and the rebates they had, it came into about $3,200.
Yep. That was kind of going to be my guess because I know I went to the 75 SV a couple years ago, and I think I'm into that with the ice kit for about $1,300. And I think with a PS22 and stuff like that, you can kind of save a few dollars here and there, like you said, with rebates and whatever else. I was going to say probably in around the $3,200 mark. So, Mitch, if you're good this year, Aaron will maybe no.
No. No. I need to get some new something for the boat though, but we'll see.
Have any ideas in mind? Are you thinking Garmin or?
I don't know yet. I like my Humminbird. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm the first to admit I actually miss my Helix. Jason, what did you run before your Garmin? What were you running for equipment?
You might laugh at that. So I was running just have you heard of the deeper sonars?
Yes.
Okay, so I ran that, and the biggest reason why I ran that was because it's super light and portable. So I went from super light and portable to a big brick that I carry around with me now. But the deeper, it was a pretty cool unit. I like that. I got both the older unit and the newer chirp version, and they're pretty nice units.
That's good to know. I have looked at them in the past. When it comes to ice fishing, I miss my LX9. That was probably the best piece of equipment I've ever owned. I should have never got rid of it. I still cry a little tear over it once in a while, but there's just so many phenomenal products out there, and the one thing I do like about the Garmin in particular, outside of the extra weight and stuff the live scope brings, is that it is relatively portable and it's nice to use on different setups, right? We may have lost him. He's in the dip. Is that how we're gonna do this now? Just oh no, he's back. He's out of the dip.
No, there was no dip. I don't know what happened there. It's just messing with me now.
That was Mitch actually honing in on your location over the rumor you started. So that's probably what it is. I think he's on to you.
No, not.
Nope.
I'll let it slide.
Yeah, we'll let it go. Mitch, when are your first edition sweaters due to launch?
My sweaters? I don't know. I'm so
The
behind.
knitting rumor.
And are you knitting them on your fly tying vise? That's the other question Jason had for you.
No. I need a bigger area, so
Yeah,
it doesn't work on the vise.
especially if you're doing sweaters for me, right? I mean, you do have to get your supplies from the tent and awning shop, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we do those outside.
Yeah, you do have to kind of deal with that, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, if anyone does have questions for Jason, Mitch, or myself, and Mitch, I'm just done calling you Mitchell because I feel weird. I feel like we're kind of past that point where I can't call you Mitchell anymore. I feel like I'm your grandmother giving you trouble for, eating cookies before dinner or something like that. So where you'll notice here, I just put, if anyone has questions for Jason, Mitch, or myself, put them in there. We'll fire away. We still have a few things to talk about. A few exciting things, actually. And he's in and out.
Yeah.
But one thing he's assured me he's in on, says he's in on, is the charity fish on. Now, Mitch, you and I have been talking about this a little bit behind the scenes. For anyone that's not aware what the fish on is, head on over to our YouTube channel. You'll find out how you can apply for the opportunity to be in our fish on. It's going to be a chance for someone to compete for $1,000 for a charity of their choice. Mitch, you're going to be one of the judges, and Scott Stewart's going to be the other judge. And what are you expecting to see out of this? And do you think it's going to be as good, if not better, than we originally thought of?
It's going to be an awesome event, I think. There's some great people applying, so all good camera work, and I think it's going to be an awesome event, and we'll probably make some extra things to it. So.
Yeah, well, I know one thing we talked about is we're looking for some prize sponsors. So if anyone's interested in donating to the fish on for our competitors, to be able to, sponsor get some of your product out there and be made aware of, feel free to reach out to us. Jason, I know you're back in. Are you still intending on applying for the fish on?
Yes, I will be applying. I'll try to send that in tonight.
Perfect. So, I mean, I guess that really brings the next question. How do you anticipate being able to win the fish on, knowing you've just started a rumor about your judge?
I was going to ask him, does he knit jerseys? Because me and my kid will need jerseys when we're...
Hey.
Yeah. Win or lose, it'll be fun.
Well, Jason, I think you're going to really like the format. I mean, we're not going to say everything. All I can say is you have another 5 days to get your application in. Can I put you on the spot? When you apply, do you have a charity in mind?
Yep. Youth can fish too, for sure.
Amazing. You're one of a few. There's actually some amazing opportunities for charities. I'm really excited. Once this thing closes, we're going to get everyone's application up on our Facebook page and find out who our other 8 competitors are going to be. I don't think we'll make many more comments outside of that, but consider yourself served, I guess they could say, Jason. We're going to be expecting your application to compete. And I think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome doing something like this for charity.
I would agree with you. I mean, I think right now the charities, probably with all things considered over the last year or so, they're going to need everything we can give them, right? So what better way to do it than a little bit of a friendly competition? Now, I know you probably don't know Adam or Greg. Do you know Adam Turnbull or Greg Rice?
No, I do
They
not.
they have picked sturgeon. Now, I'd be interested to know from you. You don't know them, so let's go at it this way. Who do you think has a better chance of getting the largest sturgeon, north or south?
Oh, I'm going to say south.
South. Well, I'm not going to say we have some sort of a backroom bet going because that's the wrong thing to do, right, Mitch? But we got a competition mounting. One thing we do know for sure, it's going to be in June. And so depending on if that's busy season for you, Jason, you might have opportunity to fish a few more extra waters considering you're going to be probably working, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I think we have currently like 8 or 10 applications in. There's 8 spots, still another week, and I know of at least 5 or 6 more that are coming in. Bill's already asking what kind of sturgeon. I don't know, Mitch. Did you see what Bill caught the other day?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. He totally whooped everybody in that competition.
Yeah, Jason. I don't know if you follow Bill Allen at all.
No,
No,
but I might have. I keep hearing about this sturgeon.
I know we're gonna probably give this guy a little bit of an ego, right? I mean, we got to be careful with these Airdrie boys. They get a little bit sensitive. Here's the thing that blows me away, and it's why I bring Greg and Adam up. How hard do you think it is to be able to reel some of these large fish in from shore? I mean, I couldn't do it myself. I don't know if I have the upper body strength, but what an experience. Greg's, go ahead, Jason.
Only sturgeon fishing I've done has been on the Fraser in BC.
Yeah.
So I can imagine some of the big ones here would be quite the battle on shore.
Yeah. Well, Greg Rice is definitely watching because he claims North is going to win. So, I mean, that's going to be a competition yet to be seen, coming soon to a channel near you. It's going to be fun, Jason. We're really looking forward to having you put into the competition there.
Awesome.
So for anyone that doesn't know, we don't want to spend too much time on it because there's only 5 days left. And Mitch is just, working on the strength of being able to judge all these entries. You can head on over to On the Other Line Canada on YouTube. Under the contest section, you'll see some rules and guidelines on how you can go about applying. And just make sure you send us that email with your information, some photos, and we want to hear a little bit about you and also the charity that you're going to be supporting as well. And remember that your deadline is March 21st. Mitch, do we make that at midnight? What time should Jason have his application in by?
Yeah, before midnight.
Before midnight. Old guys like myself were in bed by 8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
9.
I've been known to leave things to the last minute. So yeah, give me a time is pretty good.
We'll make sure we send you a reminder. And this is a reminder to Ricky and Tash. We're waiting for your application. So we're just going to go ahead and call you out publicly now. No pressure. If you're watching, if you're not watching, everyone get your applications in because this is going to be a format unlike anyone's ever seen. And you can thank Mitch for it, which, again, considering the rumor you started, Jason, could kind of give you a bit of a disadvantage. I guess we'll see what happens, right?
I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just put my daughter in it. Then, you can't have any hard feelings against a teenage girl.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's room for more than one competitor. So, I mean, it's an individual competition. There's nothing to stop your daughter from applying against dear old dad. How does that make you feel?
I don't know if I like that.
Does it step up the game because you have to be able to take her to your fishing spots for her to be able to compete as well?
Yeah, and plus, if she did win, I'd never hear the end of it.
That sounds about right. But the advantage you would have is you could compliment her by saying you allowed her to win, right?
This is true, yes. But that only goes so far.
Well, I'll leave that up to you and your daughter to discuss. I mean, obviously, I'm not one for stirring the pot, especially on here. I don't like to cause any drama.
Right.
So I'll just leave that for the two of you to talk about, right?
Right.
Well, next week, our guest, I don't know if either of you guys are familiar with her, Miss Tasha Eaglesham. Jason, have you had the opportunity to know who Tash is?
No.
Well, Mitch?
Sorry, I don't know very many other people in the fishing.
Don't you just love it when I put you on the spot?
Yeah, I concentrate on fishing.
For anyone that knows me, I'm a little bit of a prankster that way. I like it. Mitch, I don't, have you fished with Tash? I don't believe you have, right?
Nope, we've never got together. One of these days we'll make it work, but
I'm telling you right now, she will outfish you both. She outfishes me every time we go fishing.
yeah, but it's not hard to outfish you though.
Listen, don't make me change my hat, Mitch, because I will do it.
You know, I went fishing Sunday and I didn't change my hat and I got skunked.
What were you going for?
Well, I was going for burbs or walleye, and we saw like 30 burbs at least, and they just kept going by, and I didn't have another hat.
Ouch.
Mating season big time, right? Are they balling up and seeing
think they're
lots,
done.
but just they're done?
Yeah, they're cruising fast. They're just
Yep.
moving. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even catch one this season. That's how poor of a job I did.
Yeah, no, you should try harder.
Yeah, I only got.
You only got one? Is that what you said, Jason?
Yeah, I only went out twice for them, and I only got one.
Yeah. I had lots of invites. It just ended out not working out. So, I mean, I guess there's always another time. Do either of you guys have much luck catching them open water?
Usually in the spring, we'll catch one like right on opener, kind of within the first couple days, but after that, they go deep.
How deep do they go? That's the real question. Maybe that'll be fun to target this summer. Up for the challenge?
It depends on the lake, and since they're like a reverse of all the other fish, so they do all their growing in the winter, and then in the summer they slow right down, so a little harder.
Right. Oh, actually,
yeah, I've heard.
What'd you say, Jason? That's okay. You got a bit of a delay.
I've read articles on burbot and how they are in the summertime, and I've heard that they tracked burbot and found that they pretty much moved within a 3-meter square of where they sat for a long period of time. They barely moved through the summer. So if you drop it right in front of them, you might get one. But other than that, I think a lot of times if you catch them in open water, it's just luck.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to research that a little bit more. Greg Rice is inviting you up for pike this weekend, Mitch.
I was thinking about going somewhere sweet, but I was maybe gonna go for some largemouth. I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna reserve that comment for after the show.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I never know till the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you always seem to be the last minute guy. What do you think about Jason's approach? And I'm thinking about trying this, kind of basing where you're going fishing on the weather.
Oh yeah, totally do it. Like even just the way the wind's going will determine which side of a point I'm gonna fish or a weed line, just because that wind's blowing and those bait fish are gonna hide behind something to get out of that current, natural current there. So you're gonna have fish stacked up right where those bait fish are. So it can change my whole day.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to follow you a little bit closer as well. I feel like everyone's got all these secrets I don't know about.
Wind blowing shorelines are always one of my favorite.
Especially when you're looking for big pike and stuff like that too, right? In the shallows. Bill is claiming that he's caught 8 burbot in one day in the summer. What's your thoughts on that? Do you call him out on that?
No, not Bill.
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, man, we're giving these Airdrie guys an ego. I don't know. He says he's got pictures he's going to post. Bill, you feel free to post those, and if you want to send Mitch and Jason and I some pins, we'll go out and just confirm that that's actually the case.
Yeah, for sure.
Challenge accepted. I'm sure Bill's up for the challenge. He's always up for a good challenge. All right, guys. Well, we're pretty much near the end of the show, so we're going to wrap it up. Jason, I want to thank you for joining the show this week. I hope you travel safe. Where is the best place for people to check you out? I know you're on YouTube. How do people find you, Jason?
We're pretty much guilty of being everywhere. So if you just search Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, look for the Huntley Experience, and you'll find us.
Awesome. And I know we've shared your information on there a little bit as well. So, Jason, thanks again for joining the show. And there's something you and I need to do, which has been kind of in the works for almost a year now. I will make a point of making sure that you and I get out and fish this season.
Fantastic.
Mitch, I know you've never told us where to find you before, but where do we find you at?
Find me at Northwest Mitch on Instagram and Facebook, Alberta Fishing Trips.
Awesome. Well, guys, this wraps up this week. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all next week on our Tuesdays live, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at On the Other Line Canada. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for having me.